What's the difference between Japanese Jiu-jitsu and Brazilian Jiu-jitsu? Well, Japanese Jiu-jitsu was the original samurai art, some call it the mother art, and it incorporated everything that they needed to use on the battlefield when the samurai soldiers were fighting. Obviously, because of that, there are certain assumptions. If you're a warrior, you're big and strong, you're wearing armor, you're carrying a samurai sword, a katana, and perhaps there's other weapons and that sort of thing you're using as well. And over the years in Japan, that was passed down from one generation to the next, and it was sort of not watered down, but it was obviously made a little bit safer in some ways. As an example, the original hip throw wasn't your back to someone else's stomach. You'd rotate them round, it was your back to someone else's back. As you threw them over the top, they would land on the back of their neck. And the idea was on the battlefield to break their neck. Something you can't really practice very often. So there were certain things that were adjusted and changed over the years. But the interesting thing about Japanese Jiu-Jitsu is it contains so much. When I used to do Japanese Jiu-Jitsu many years ago, there was so many different elements to it in the classes. You know, we would do grappling sometimes, but also we might do kata. It could be the throws that you see in judo. It could be the aikido, four directional throws and the aikido stuff. It could be the striking, some of which got pulled into karate, I think, along with the Okinawan strain and that sort of stuff. So there's lots of different elements there. And certainly the main difference between Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu focuses on one element of that, and that element improves it 100-fold. So while someone who does BJJ may not know anything in terms of kata, or may not know any weapons work or any of the classical stuff, this section here, which is the solid grappling game, in my opinion, they are much better because they focus on it so much more. Certainly I found when I did Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and it varies from one club to the next, this is my own experience, my groundwork was fairly basic. You know, I knew a basic top mount, a basic armbar from top, armbar from the guard, a scissor sweep, a couple of other bits and pieces. Not a huge amount. Yes, it's true that a lot of the techniques that we see in BJJ originally came from Japan, but it's actually built on that so much more now. And I guess it's like branches of a tree. You know, I had a tree stump with a few branches on, and when I learned Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's a lot more branches that are coming out. So it means you're a lot more able to actually react to what the other person's doing and have a counter. And a lot of the time guys with a Japanese Jiu-Jitsu background are more aggressive and harder simply because they have to enforce the techniques that they know. So it's fairly different in that respect. Other than that, BJJ is generally a more relaxed art, less classical, there's less formality. When I met Jorge and Gracie for the first time, I was doing Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and I sort of went to bow in, and he said, "Hey dude, come over here, how you doing?" Shook my hand. You know, the Brazilians are a lot more friendly, a lot more relaxed in that respect. There's less etiquette, and as a result, there's more testing of the art. With the Japanese mindset, is very much the instructor will dictate things to you. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's a little bit more of a case of, okay, we're going to do this, I'm going to teach this, right, now let's try it. And things are tested. So certainly when it comes to the instructor, in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, the instructor will dictate, and you're forced to have respect for it. That's the etiquette. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the instructor will teach, but then work with you. And when you see what's going on there, the respect for the instructor is sort of implied through practical means.